Good afternoon and welcome to the Locations and Beyond Summit. It's great that you're all here. My name is Joep van Beurden and I'm the CEO of CSR, and we are very proud to be hosting this summit for the 4th time. Location matters, and at CSR we are focused on connectivity and location, and these two technologies are very complementary. Now, why do I say that? If you go back a couple of years before the wireless revolution, we typically were talking on landline phones. And at that time, if I were to make a call, I'd call somebody. I would either call them at home or at the office. And I would never have to ask that person, where are you? Because it'd be a silly question, I call you at home. You're obviously at home. The minute the handset made its intro, and now we're moving around and we are wireless, location becomes a very important attribute. That's why today, many of the discussions that we have start with, hey, how are you and where are you? So location and connectivity go hand in hand. And location is also much more than the traditional turn-by-turn navigation. That was the first killer application that basically enabled it. Location provides context. In this wireless and connected world, location provides context. I'll give you a couple of examples. We call those the 4 S's. It helps you with search. It's very useful if you do a Google search that the device you're using actually knows where you are. And I'm based in Cambridge, the UK, and if I type in looking for a pizza in Cambridge, I get a lot of results in Cambridge, Massachusetts. That's not very helpful for me. So search, if you have the context of where you are, you type in what you want and you'll get your results around where you are. Social networking. So I have young children, probably many of you have here as well. They have their phones. They actually don't use a phone to make a phone call. That's for old guys like me. They use it to social network, and it's very important to them to know where their friends are. So location in the context of social networking is a big help. Shopping. We talked about location-based services. It is very helpful if you shop and you have your device that you can actually be guided to where you want to go or maybe make use of some stuff that's on offer. And safety. We all know the 911 directive here, but safety in many ways also. You can track things, and our keynote speaker is not a coincidence. He's from a company called FedEx, where this is a very hot topic. So with location, you can track assets, you can potentially track pets, or even your children if you want to. So these are the themes of location beyond sort of what traditionally is viewed as location. I look forward to an exciting afternoon, speaking and exploring about these and other issues. To kick us off, I would like to introduce our host, Mark Lowenstein. Now, don't let his youthful appearance fool you. Mark has been around the industry, has more than 20 years' experience in the wireless industry, founded the wireless practices of the Yankee Group, has been a VP of strategy at Verizon, and I very much look forward, Mark, to you helping us through the afternoon around the themes I just introduced. Mark Lowenstein.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for taking the time out of a busy time at CTIA with lots of other competing items on the agenda to come here and spend an afternoon talking about location. And actually, I hail from the other Cambridge MA, or just over the bridge from it in Boston. And so, yes, what you were saying about location and services there is very, very true. But this is the 4th annual event, and it's great to have you here. And there's no question that location services have arrived. This year, we're looking at a $5+ billion market. We're looking at north of 200 million devices being shipped with location capability in them across a whole number of a portfolio of devices. Phones, of course, being the most prominent, but if you look at the other sectors, for example, the other sectors that CSR plays in, automotive, audio, and so on, all of those sectors are growing very, very quickly. And so the focus of the afternoon, really, is to spend 3 or 4 hours with all of the major participants in the value chain and some of the senior-most thought leaders in the industry all gathered in one room, thinking about not is location going to arrive, because it has arrived, but really where it's going. And what are some of the key trends? And the focus for this year, our 4th annual event, is connecting everything, everyone, and every place. So we have 3 panel sessions, each one addressing each of those different topics: everything, everyone, and every place, interspersed with a fireside chat with Kanwar, as well as fast pitches from some of the most exciting startup companies demonstrating some of their exciting location applications. So where are we today with location? Let me spend just a couple of minutes sort of teeing up the afternoon, talk a little bit about where location is today and some of the issues I think we should be pondering throughout the course and discussing throughout the course of the afternoon. Well, as Joep already mentioned in his introduction, it's about a lot more than just navigation. This was really a year, if you sort of talk about tipping points, I find that this is a year where we really started to see location woven into a host of applications. If all of you here probably are carrying around a smartphone of some sort, whether it's an iPhone or an Android device, I'm sure you've noticed not necessarily how you are buying location-specific applications, but how location is being increasingly woven into applications, and how, by the way, the percentage of applications that are location-enabled, that are considered premium applications, that are applications people are paying for, is a higher percentage than applications which are not location-enabled. And you see this being spread across the B2C space, the B2B space. I've spent some time with companies like OpenTable and TripAdvisor, in their respective parts of the industry, who really are doing a lot of innovative work with weaving location into their applications. We'll see some other case studies throughout the course of the afternoon. And it's become a very important way to sort of upgrade applications into premium. It's also becoming an important way in which the mobile advertising market is going. If you look at, for example, CPMs and click-through rates and so on with ads that have location embedded, that are take advantage of some of the contextual capabilities of location, where again we're seeing higher CPMs, we're seeing higher click-through rates or click-to-call rates, or the different sort of metrics that we use to measure the burgeoning mobile advertising market. So what's the next phase? Let's talk about a few things we might discuss this afternoon in terms of location. Well, we've got hundreds of thousands of applications. That's great. But the next phase of applications, when we're talking about 200,000 apps in the App Store, 80,000 apps for Android Market, and so on, how do we give those applications better discovery, more contextual elements, personalization? Again, location is going to be a big part of that. How are we going to get location spread across not only to developed country markets and smartphones, but to the 1.2 plus billion devices that are being shipped annually to the emerging markets, where the average price of a device is going to have to be less, where ARPUs from the operators, you've got operators who are doing very well on sub-$10 ARPUs in some of the emerging markets. I spent some time recently, for example, with a senior team at Nokia World, and they talked a lot about how they're working on trying to get location and optimize OV maps and so on for the emerging economy. So that's very exciting. I also think, and we're going to hear a little bit from Rob Carter, from FedEx, and others in the enterprise market, that we're just starting to scratch the surface in the enterprise with regards to location capabilities. And then if you think about the next sort of major categories of growth beyond just sort of apps, next major categories of growth that everybody's sort of talking about here at the Wireless Show, mobile commerce, mobile advertising, machine to machine. Those are all segments which are ripe opportunities for opening up location APIs and embedding location capabilities into applications in that space. Another space I'm spending some time in, and we spend a lot of time thinking about the role of the mobile operators in all of this, who want to become not just dumb pipes, of course, but they want to be smart pipes, and looking at opening up network APIs and so on. I believe that analytics which is relatively immature in the wireless industry. So how do we embed additional sort of analytics and metrics into commerce applications and advertising applications? I think that's a ripe sort of opportunity we're going to be looking at over the next couple of years as the wireless industry sort of catches up what we see in other segments of consumer electronics and the internet, and even the CPG market, consumer packaged goods, with better metrics around how we're measuring where subscribers are, what they're doing, and again, delivering contextually oriented applications. So those are some of the key questions. That's what I'm hoping we're able to address this afternoon. How do we best weave location intelligence into more applications, products, and services? How can location information be used in analytics? How can they power more enterprise applications? And then what are the business models? We're moving to some new pricing models in the industry focused on usage-based pricing and tiered pricing, for example. Again, what does that mean from the standpoint of location? Another big story, the latter part of this year, heard an announcement from Verizon today about LTE in 38 markets by the end of the year, covering 100+ million pops. Next year with more markets launching and Clearwire and AT&T and so on. What does location mean from the standpoint of 4G? Is it sort of amplify what we're able to do with location? There's issues around capacity, there's issues around coverage. And what does that mean in terms of sort of the device and the network ecosystem around location in a 4G world? So those are the sorts of topics I'm hoping we're going to be addressing this afternoon. So we have a great afternoon lined up with a lot of very senior level speakers from across the value chain. We're going to begin with an opening keynote from Rob Carter, who's EVP of Information Services and CIO at FedEx Corporation. Then I'll come back and do a fireside chat with Kanwar Chadha, who is the founder of Surf and now also the Chief Marketing Officer of CSR, which, as you know, merged with Surf a little over 15 months ago. And we're going to talk a little bit about where location is going. Then we're going to have our first roundtable or panel session focused on how we connect everything, moderated by Mark Priolo, who's principal at Technology Growth Advisors. And we're going to have participants there from T-Mobile, from AT&T, from Sierra Wireless, and Jasper Wireless. Then we'll have our first of 3 fast pitch sessions, where we'll have companies who are given 5 minutes to demonstrate some of their applications, and you're going to have an opportunity to vote on those. And then we'll convene our second panel, I think after a break. We'll convene our second panel looking at how we're going to connect everyone, which is going to sort of focus on revenue opportunities. And we're going to hear from execs from Cisco, from NTT Docomo, from Oracle, from Intel, and from Telmap. Then we're going to have our second fast pitch session, and then we'll convene our final panel of the afternoon where we're going to focus on how to connect every place, looking at how to make connected location solutions available across as many devices and as many locations as possible. And we're going to have execs there from Marvel, from CSR, from Verizon Wireless, and from Ekahau. And then we'll have our final series of fast pitches. I'm hoping that you'll all participate in this. We're going to have mics going around so people will have the opportunity to ask questions. We'll have a couple of 20-minute breaks, so there'll be some good opportunities for networking. At the conclusion of the final fast pitch and a couple of concluding remarks from Kanwar, we're going to have a cocktail reception a little bit later, and that'll, again, enable us to sort of get together and network and talk a little bit about some of the topics that were brought up this afternoon. So all that said, let me introduce our keynote speaker, Rob Carter. I'm sorry, before I do that, I'm supposed to thank our sponsors for making all of this possible. That's right. Our hosts, Surf and CSR, and our official sponsors, RIM and Intel, our premium sponsors, AT&T and T-Mobile, and then our media sponsors, Berg Insight, ABI Research, and Inside GNSS.